I got 5 o'clock. All of you in order.
We'll make a motion. Minutes. You want to roll first? Yeah, John Helfrey,
Here.
Mark Demore.
Yep.
Kevin Van Horn's here, and
There
he is.
Oh,
Nice. Sorry about that.
Maybe you're actually.
I know it is.
Just in time to say.
No, God. Oh my gosh. Emeritus, huh?
Yeah, I'm coming out of the depths to find out if you guys are doing the right thing.
You know, American hornbeam trees make great canes for the way that helps you.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And there, that's an option on our
Yeah,
list.
there you go. Beaver resistant too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that helps.
How about deer?
No, nothing is. They'll rub their antlers all over that. Maybe the bucks just want to get at you. I'm not sure. Okay,
All right,
sorry about that.
everybody's here. Need to,
I jumped the gun and made a motion to approve the minutes. Okay.
all right. I'll second. We have a vote for approval.
Aye.
Aye. Let's get Dennis a minute.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes.
Just to bring you up to date, Mike, since you are the mayor's. Since we're getting these sun tree grant, by, we're in a position to be able to help out Porter with tree removal. So he needed an additional $6,100 in that area. He's got a quote to take down about 24 trees. And it was 21,000 something. So his budget was 15, so we were able to give him 6 change in order to take down majority of those, all those trees at a quote, plus the stumps that needed to be removed.
They're still there.
Yeah, still there. So we still have, we have 4950 in our budget left over, but we still have to deal with. We need some ideas for that. Dennis had an idea, or not an idea, but he wants to do it, is to store mulch at the department area, students are saying department area, to store bags of mulch. Bags, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we take, suggestion would be $1,000, more than enough
Wait more.
for mulch and some tree guards and things of that nature. We keep it over there and have it at our disposal. So that would leave us $39.50. Yeah, but still on our budget. If we don't use it this year, we'll use it. And there are still a few more trees to take down that was in on Bob Porter's list. I went around and counted about 5 or 6. But some of them could have been taken down by the street department themselves. They're not very big. Over on Lakeshore Drive, Lake Street, it needs to be taken down.
But they're small enough to remove what's left.
See, Mike, we decided if we keep spending our money on removal and not planting, that we can get a designation of being a treeless city.
So that's where we're at in that. With the remaining money, we can look into pruning. You were gonna check.
Yeah, that guy has to call me back, but this, because he's in the middle of his pruning heaven right now. He will, because he's a good guy. Just a thought. And I know we have all of these trees to deal with. There are some really, really, really good street trees that don't appear in here. And we sort of talked about that. And I kind of wonder, I mean, they really fit the bill for us. We have small size, medium and large. If before we give our money back, if we would think about at least maybe some of those trees that aren't on here that are really, really good and we could just do it the regular old way. That's just a thought.
It's a good thought. Pro that thought.
Okay.
Rather see us put some good ones in
Right.
certain spots. Rather use the money in production.
You know, I agree. I mean, I think we can have a conversation with Dogwood Hills Tree Farm, like we've been working with them, and say, give them a budget. I mean, I've had great experience with Curtis. I feel like if we gave him a budget, he would be fair. He's not
Would they
gonna-
come down here though for 39.50 is the problem?
And I have updates on that too. I can share now. Like, I was talking with Davey Trees and just kind of shared these thoughts of Woody Warehouse. The reason you aren't seeing some of those is because Woody Warehouse is all natives. Your lead culvert is welcome to source trees from different places. If we're like, we want XYZ that's not on this list, I know you mentioned honey locust. That can be sourced by Davy. It will just come, you know, the pros and cons of if we get 20 here and 20 here and 20 here, like the shipping costs and transportation, it is just more expensive. But you aren't restricted just to the Woody Warehouse. That's just
So
your.
that could be part of our allotment if we pay the shipping for those trees.
Or they can, it would just have to be like, maybe you couldn't get a bigger size of this tree based within the budget they have.
Okay.
And then Davey would do the planting, blah, 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 everything. That would be.
I think we should
Like-
probably look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it.
Dogwood.
I mean, in theory, we have the budget, we have the wherewithal to pony up a little bit if we want to get bigger ones. If we get too cute with that, I mean, the shipping doesn't intimidate me. I don't know about you guys, but I pay it, you know, no problem. Especially if we're gonna get the trees we want. And yes, Mike, I'm sure you'll agree. I mean, honey locusts for a town are.
How big are the ones you're getting?
2 caliber.
2 inches?
They're younglings.
That's, yeah, but that's about what the last couple of weeks loads we got. They were in that range.
Yeah.
At least gives us some choices.
These are things restricted. I mean, how
I
many?
mean, it's a huge list.
Yeah, it is a big list. Got a lot of great stuff on here. It's just there's a few of them that are so good that aren't that we want to look at.
And they gave us an inventory, a lot of small, just say bushes and stuff too, in there. We didn't use. It looks intimidating. If you get down to what we could actually use here.
Is this all Parkway only, or is it,
No,
it's anywhere you want in town?
It could be public or private.
we're looking to fill in some parkway spots and then the rest would go through the towns. Speaking of that, I got a request. Yeah. This is a 509 South Plymouth. I'm seeing that sidewalk put through the pathway deal, and they took down the trees. Now that narrows her spot because of this large sidewalk. But this area is empty, so she'd like to get a couple of trees, and if we could, some of the trees from this program over there, it's 2 inch in diameter.
No height restrictions there. I'm trying to picture it. That's the way that it's cool.
509 South Plymouth. It's between cross street would be.
Line it up on the map.
Is that the new barn dominium is?
Winfield.
No, I think
Winfield.
it's-
Plymouth and Winfield.
It's Dr. Deary's daughter.
Oh, okay.
You said there was a sidewalk extension.
Yeah.
That's-
That was a very narrow parkway, if you remember.
Right, now it's between sidewalk and the fence, there's no parkway's gone,
That's right. Yeah.
so. She's looking to maybe capture
And it-
a spot for some of those trees we're getting.
but you could put something in their front yard, right?
There's room for two or three, it's long, it's very narrow.
Yeah, I see the spot. Even in that corner. Or who owns the house on the corner?
I don't know who owns
Because
that.
there's definitely a good spot in that corner.
So
Although it looks like there might be a fence.
There's a fence on
Yeah, there's
the
a-
inside of the sidewalk. Yeah.
if we could put a couple small ones over there, we appreciate it.
Can I ask a question while you're talking about that? I had 3 Bradford pears on my lot, in front of my house on the parkway. And a year and a half ago, one of them split in a storm and I had to take it down. And I just noticed this summer, the two that are left are diseased. And they're gonna have to come down. Remember the Bradford pears were something that they wanted us to stay away from. And I'm gonna have to get those down. Do I approach Bob on that?
We're just doing the tree removal.
Okay.
We're
And then I'd like to get I can't put 3 back in because the lot isn't wide enough. I go between, I'll put 2 trees back in. So if I could get on your list, I'd appreciate that too.
That's, because that's not, it wouldn't be parkway, it would be,
No, it's Parkway.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think it's outdated. You still have the canopy of this.
Yeah,
I see what you're talking about though.
actually the one is, when it was planted 25 years ago, was fairly close to the fire department. So they keep cutting the branches off so they can get their truck out.
Keeping with your conversation, what's a 2 good trees to put in that spot when I come?
Are there any, I'm sorry, I was looking, are there restrictions on height there with wire? And or is there a width or no, there's no, how wide's your right of way there?
It's 10 feet.
You've got a big one then,
It's
so
pretty
you have
good
no
size.
restrictions. in any
no
way.
restrictions, width-wise, they're up.
Do you have a preference for the size of tree you like there? Because it looks like a lot of those, what we have would go. You want something that flowers or gives great shade, or how about a little wildlife there that the berries and fruits aren't?
No berries.
All right.
Be a
The
good
Bradford
hornbeam.
pears have berries in there. Nuisance.
The hornbeams, joking aside,
Yeah.
they could fit that spot well.
Sometimes we have to sort of, not you, you're a tree guy, educate the public a little bit because we humans have a tendency to say nothing that's going to fall on the sidewalk. And yet that means that's taking away from wildlife. So I think, I can't remember the last time in a tree commission meeting that a bird or squirrel showed up and spoke. So we have to speak for them. So maybe if now and then that comes up, some things, like there's a certain kind of oak tree that has a really small acorn that isn't very invasive. So I'm just speaking I'm going to be the Lorax right now, if you know that story. And I'm sure you have a son that does.
Oh, yeah.
That's a favorite.
Some year, maybe 5, 6 years ago, I don't even know if you were with us at that time, Dennis. I own the other house too, the yellow one. And we have an oak there that we put in, a beautiful tree now. It's really. But the trunk is probably 6, 7 inches now. So I have an oak there, so I'm not particular. I just don't want any cleanup stuff.
Okay, everybody thinks we don't have too many maples in town. We have too many we have too many soft maples.
So
What about going to one of the varieties of the
that's
sugars
fine. I
that
think
have
the
that
color is
great fall
beautiful.
color?
Oh, yeah, the autumn glory and
Yeah.
the October, yeah. those-
Yeah, anything like down in front
Autumn
of the park
blaze.
is,
Yeah.
the color there is,
We have that.
We have sugar maples, I know, in our inventory here.
I don't remember seeing autumn blaze, but I think the other one's October something.
Yeah, we have some of those are actually crosses between the soft maple and the hard maple. And they do that because they get the good stuff from one, but they also sometimes get a little bit of a root problem. And I don't know, is there a sidewalk near? You have a
Yeah.
sidewalk, I mean, how, 10 foot. It'd be we'll all be dead
well,
by
10
the
foot,
time that comes up, so it won't
10
matter.
foot plus the wall.
Okay, we could, I think one of the maples, if you want that orangish wild
That's
color, we
fine.
could do a maple there.
And my wife said she'd like it to be fully grown within 5 years, because she doesn't think we'll be around at that time.
Well, it reminds me of my favorite Greek poem from a couple thousand years ago. This guy said something like, happy are the crickets' lives, for they have voiceless wives. Because it's only the men that make the chirping. Sorry, Emerson, it was. But I know your wife. I know better
You know that.
than that. I know, I'm sorry.
She's watching, just so you know.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure. Oh my gosh, she probably is. But Patty's a great name, though.
So I'm gonna probably, I've never seen the Bradford pear. Usually it drops its leaves like around December, end of December.
Mhm.
This thing's turning, the leaves are turning black.
Well, get rid of them and get maples in there.
Yeah.
I would say the DNR released as of May for street tree plantings, that maples, both the silver, sugar, red, black maples are not recommended for anywhere in Indiana.
Hmm. I know the Norways aren't because they're supposed to be invasive, and of course but I don't know. Wonder why they said that about the sugar maples. Since Plymouth is full of sugar maples.
I think the reasoning is that they've just been overplanted.
Okay, I haven't seen so many sugars in our town that were overdone. I mean, we have
Where
some.
does the autumn blaze fall? Is that considered a red? I mean, there's like, what, 4 autumn blades on
Yeah.
Main Street, but they're gorgeous. The prettiest trees we have.
They're gonna be in front of the park, but when you start moving down the street. Use some color down there.
They just get that perfect red. Candy apple red.
The autumn blaze is a hybrid of the red maple and silver maple,
Yeah, there goes that problem that,
but
I mean, they're better than the ones we're always dealing with by far. They still have a little bit of a problem. But I notice on your list, you have a number of just sugar maples that are
that
available.
doesn't mean they can't be planted. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I think if you want some color, that would be the best color tree you could get.
Yeah, I like the color.
Okay, well, you should have a little bit of power left over from the old days. Oh, you did.
Catch it down there.
Great.
Thank you, by the way, Emerson, because I didn't know that update.
We're going to do mapping. Is that all done?
Yes, I can do my report. So this summer I've been making maps based on what conversations with John and Kevin prioritized for areas within town. Davey is finalizing that. They're hopefully getting it to me soon based on my conversation this week. But it looks like areas that are going to be prioritized is the public park at the beach, the park by the school, the South Main strip, and a few other areas. I am still working on that and will send that to you soon, but timeline wise, what that looks like is I'm still gonna be working until October on this, with the planting date or community engagement date for planting planned for October 11th, which is a Saturday.
So could we add a couple?
Yeah, so that's all we say, it's pretty flexible. I was also gonna add, since we've last met, there's been 3 kind of main community engagement things I've done. The first being Lake Fest, where I had a map and asked folks, where do you spend your time? Where do you live? Where would you like to see more trees? And that kind of aligned with conversations of what has been said anyway. The other 2 things outside of your request for trees in that area, I also got a request for 3 or 4 trees near the Plaza Meadow Apartments area. There's one dead tree on the north side that they would like to have considered for removal. I have
Is that one of your 5 or 6? You had that one list. What road was that on? Plaza Meadow?
It's not the forest place. Is it?
Yeah, Forest Place off of Academy Road.
And I got a letter from, I have to read that for the record. But it's on private property, trees on private.
Emerson, when you said priorities and you said the school park, I wonder if that's the softballs.
Yeah, Cavalier Park. Cavalier
Yeah.
Park. We've talked a lot about that. That's great.
It's not too late. At one time, there was an idea about putting some, along the elementary. There's a couple of spots for some really huge trees along the elementary school.
Mhm.
And it would be big enough for sugar maples or something. But we can add that maybe because
Mhm.
I think I talked to Karen Schumann a long time ago and
Yeah, no, Karen Schumann, I went out to with her and I agree there's also an opportunity around the school. She helped give insight into like where things might expand and might not too, which was helpful in terms of like space wise on the property.
I've got a spot there that sometimes we like our trees where there's a good science spot for them, but also the visualness, and a lot of people will see them at the corner of College and School. If you turn left to go in front of by the elementary school, there's a huge space there. It's not an art right away, but I mean, it's 40, 50 feet wide. And much, you could do like 2 or 3 great big sugars there or something that would get a lot of looks and would look great with the elementary school. And then the church is right across the side street and it would look like New England right there. Put some sugars in.
And definitely like shade trees for sure.
Mhm.
Put a little shade on
Yeah.
that lot.
And their
That's
kids
never
play
gonna be-
across the
yeah.
fence, and there's no foot traffic I've ever seen that go through there where anybody's gonna compact it or ruin it. It's just a little spot off to the side that has great visual interest, but would be, I think, a nice spot for some trees if we would do something like that. And if we end up getting some accidental trees, because there's mistakes always made, and if they send us some shrubs, we could see what you're missing, Mike. We could put them down near the elementary school because the kids are so little, they would look big. Never mind.
Got one for every meeting.
There's and that road is a major through.
To me, come quick.
And it was sharing, kids kind of walk from the elementary school to the high school down that area. There is, I think it's the east side of the street has some pretty low utilities, so I would recommend planting on the one side of the street is what.
Yeah, this is on the west side
Yeah.
and it's all together. And I'm glad you brought that up because we haven't talked about that for a while. How we have always loved that idea, at least the last couple of years, of doing small trees on the east side of going along Max's Playhouse and all the way down there. And I know the wires, but they're kind of off to the side and they're never overhead. We would have to contact NIPSCO just to see if they could maybe tell us that would be safe there where they wouldn't get wild with that 10-foot thing.
20 feet.
That's-
You know, I live around the corner. I know, but it's such a beautiful spot, where I mean, Mike?
NIPSCO doesn't care. They're gonna come and they're
Yeah,
gonna do 20
yeah,
feet.
they don't care.
God, it was such a perfect spot because of the school has all those on one side of the street. If we could do the other side, it would be a gorgeous thoroughfare. Yeah, I'm not very good at giving up. Would you mind if I tried to contact them and see what we could get out of
The
them?
problem is, by the time those get big enough to cut, you're not gonna be around.
Oh, I plan on living forever.
And the person you talk to isn't gonna be around.
Well, I might ghost a month and then,
And their hatchet guy is gonna just come out and do it.
boy, it's the perfect place for some small trees too.
Well, have you, are there any Japanese lilacs in this?
No, those aren't on the list and that was on my list for,
Because if you go down by the car wash.
yeah,
And that's under wires and those trees have been there for
and they,
15
right, and
years.
they've never touched those.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if
Something like
if
that.
it wouldn't be worth it to
They're
put
beautiful
some there and
trees.
just do this.
Yeah.
And I'm around the corner, I'll water them.
Well,
Maybe take your own money and get some of those.
yeah, I just
If
saw
they're not on the
it.
list.
Yeah,
We're talking about the mulching and
Yeah.
all this, and people are spending $400
Yeah.
for a tree, and they're not doing it. We go ahead and do something like that, this goes, gonna come in 10, 15 years from now and whack them. So,
when I'm alive, I'll be that weird guy that sits out there with my shotgun and just do it that way.
I wouldn't take the chance.
No, well, let me talk to him
Anyway.
just to see. Think me too.
So what would be the next step here?
Yeah.
You got your
So
mapping is gonna
finishing
be,
the mapping, once Davy finishes their side of things, it goes through a design plan submittal with 811. So we've talked a lot about overhead utilities, but not really underground as much. So that's just confirming that, where that's of interest has anything underground that, God forbid, volunteers are planting and strike a water main or something like that. And that should be a fairly fast turnaround time. Around mid-September, Davy will confirm planting sites for each community, and then ERI provides authorization to proceed with like the pre-order of the trees, and Davy places those orders of trees. So when I say there's still time to do things like explore, Japanese lilacs or honey locust or things, that we still have some time for that. And from late September to early October, that is that final communication of 811 and work zone requests. Work zones requests would be me telling Bob, hey, we're gonna have to plant trees on this street. But maybe something needs to be blocked off for that sort of thing. I don't expect that to be a huge deal here, but in larger communities, that's more of a request that's needed. Davy is securing all of the tree orders in that late September, early October period. And then what we'll be doing this whole time is having meetings, kind of finalizing those things at the community tree planting event. The community tree planting event for Culver is slated to be October 11th. That's 2 weeks before Fall Fest. With the idea, if it's a super terrible rainy awful day, it could maybe be the following Saturday, but not have too many people all over the place with the Fall Fest planning. And then just as a reminder for that community planting event, that looks like probably planting about 25 trees in a centralized area once that is finalized. And then Davy will plant the remaining trees from kind of October to end of the year. For the growing season, so that's June through October, 2026, 2027, 2028. Davy, along with the subcontracted landscape firm, will do all of that watering, weeding, and pruning. And then in November 2026, if any of the trees of this project don't survive, they will replace the non-surviving trees.
I get a copy of all that.
Yes. Yeah, this was a meeting I had super recently, so I didn't get a chance to send it.
Emerson, would you be opposed to, I don't even know if it's a good idea, maybe you've done it already. I love you've got all this location stuff. Anybody who's available and interested, go around with golf cart and you could
Yeah,
kind of show us when you get it all ready to go
yeah,
to do that.
definitely. That's the idea, to go out and kind of, I'm blanking on the term, yeah, locate and make sure. Because what, that will look like on a map might look different in real time. The main thing that I need to relook at is, each community has different, like, preferences for landscape or location. Culver, I think is pretty flexible there, but typically Baby's standard, for planting is 35 feet from an intersection and 2 feet from water meter heads. And that is something I need to ask about, like how set in stone that is, or what that looks like based on what we're thinking.
Was that from a street intersection or a driveway? Does it specify?
Street intersection.
Town ordinance is 25.
Okay, so
The other big things on my end is I'm still in conversation with Jacob Bruce with the DNR for that Tree City USA certification, but I know the ordinance was recently updated to reallocate funds for tree removal. So Culver does have everything to be a Tree City USA and should be getting, fingers crossed, as I move through with that certification back. And that could also be something that's kind of celebrated at the planting event. The other big thing is I have a budget for the kind of planting day event that could look like food. That will be things like vests and waivers for volunteers. The big thing that I think Culver might not have, and I wanted to ask you if this would be helpful, is having items like shovels, anything to actually plant trees available. I was thinking about having a conversation with the Parks Department to see if they need any items that could be kind of like multi-use, check in and out. If you ever wanted to have like community tree days of that sort, if you wanted to have city-owned shovels, clippers, that sort of thing, so you're not using your personal items all the time, I have a budget to help purchase some of those items, gloves, things like that. So if you feel like that would be a good idea to kind of have those things on site, both for the event and in the future, that's something I can help with as well. People mentioned, yeah, ERI is going to bring up some items up to borrow, but
Well, speaking of the community planting, we have volunteers.
yes. So the idea was, once the sites are confirmed as good with Davy and 811, postcards being sent to people around those areas for example, street trees. This is happening in front of your home. If you're good with that, awesome. If you're not good with that, great. We'll reevaluate prior to planting. And then what I was thinking was like a Google form that goes out, or like sign up type of form that goes out in the town manager notes and any sort of like town media, so Town Garden Lake. I don't know if the newspaper has like an online presence, but that has worked well for other communities.
I'm willing to help out with that too, with over at the academy. There should be some sort of service group that we can find that can get some kids out.
Yeah, I spoke with Andy Settlemore
Yeah.
a while ago, who was definitely interested in getting academy students to come out and help as well, and just said to reach back out.
if I could sometime just briefly or after this meet with you, because then if you give me all the pertinent information, because the newspaper only comes out every 2 weeks now, so it's hard to
Right.
time things, and give it to me so I can make sure it gets in the paper just before this, if you can do that.
The other idea was this, assuming trees kind of around the school area are a go. I spoke with Karen, and that could also be an event where, the kids come out for the day or that sort of thing, and help like plant a tree at their school. I think would be really cool. There's also, I reached out to the library to the story walk through the park, how they changed what book is there to do something like about tree planting as well. And at the end, you could have like a little bit about the event. The other thing, I think you mentioned you had that letter about trees planted on that private property.
Unless he's requesting the tree be removed.
Okay,
You can read it now. To the tree commission, this is from J.D. Castleman at 641 Forest Place. Dear Culver Tree Commission, thank you for your service to the community. And J.D. Castleman residing at 641 Forest Place. I respectfully request that the tree commission consider removing the big, mostly all dead, auto-attached tree located on North Forest Place and the inside of the curb near the Plaza Meadows apartment. It appears the tree is on the town right away. And some safety concerns, some dead branches have already fallen on the road. Many residents from the senior apartments traverse daily on foot, and some in wheelchairs under the tree. Died quickly, might have been struck by lightning. For your information, I've also requested to Emerson and resiliency program to plant 3 or 4 shade trees on that same curb. So this is the tree. It's owned by those apartments. They're probably owned by White Apartments. So I don't think even Porter's going to touch it.
if it's not in the, not in the right of way, I wasn't sure.
I have to give him, I don't think he's got his phone number. I passed this on to Bob and already talked to Kevin Dante, and he didn't think it's our responsibility or Bob either. But we need to put that in the record.
Yep, I'll take this.
The other thing that was raised to me, about tree planting this week was a new footpath on the edge of town. Looks like Sycamore Road. And I need to see if that's in Academy property or,
It is,
okay.
and I think that's outside town limits.
Okay, I thought so as well. There was, but since it's a new footpath, there was interest in shade trees. But because it wasn't right away and it was out of town limits, I didn't think that could be something that this project. That was Adam, sorry, Adam.
That's right.
It's just going for a run and it was really hot.
Yeah.
Use a tree.
You know, I've always been here for 18 years now. Every time I walk through there, I think, great idea if that was all cleaned up. The walkway there and all those dead trees laying there and the brush and everything would, you know, turn into really scenic walkway, but I don't know that one could be done. It'd be a lot of money, a lot of time.
So I don't know what I'd recommend for kind of these requests, but for private spaces. Property owner, maybe a future project.
If we're not gonna use all 100, right? We've determined 100 spots.
The idea is, yes,
We're gonna find 100 spots. Okay.
Yeah.
Shut up.
And when I did this, Dennis and I did this, and usually we had 75 spots.
See, for some reason, I thought it was in the 60s. I mean, I guess it's not that hard to find.
Yeah. Because we were mainly interested in apartments.
Yeah, they were so.
Yeah, that's great. I'm perfect, even better. I just didn't know the one idea that I liked. There was a place to, let's plant them all. And even if they were to grow somewhere, that we can always move them at some point or, maybe sell them at a good number to a resident if they're willing to pay rather than pay a steep price for the nursery, But if we're going to use them, that's great.
I think if you, with what you have left, if you put an article, we've always, for the 18 years I was involved, every year you get calls, people wanting trees on their property, but we couldn't obviously do it. So we put an ad in the paper or something, or an article. I know a guy that can write it. We might get the rest of them. You might be surprised how many you'll get.
She said that you're gonna send a mailing out.
Or mailing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's, a lot of these people may say, well, I don't want one, but I know the neighbor does or whatever.
Tell them down in Lake, same way. Get a lot of responses.
I'm sure we'll get more positive, negative.
Yeah, I feel like, to go back to the Lake Fest, with John and Kevin came out for a little bit, so thank you both. I feel like you may have been there in the slow parts, but I promise people did talk about trees eventually.
Slow.
But no, there was interest and some really, like, conversation from folks that were interested both in, town property and their own property. Like, what do I do about this in my backyard or XYZ? But there was someone that also spoke to me about the schools around the school area, so I'd be interested in who contacted you, that request you read today. But overall, very positive response and interest. And a lot of people, from out of town that came. It's like, well, that's something we love about conference. It's this place where we come and we can feel like we're in nature and relax. But like the aesthetic value of the trees and the space that has been cultivated.
Have you surveyed the park?
The beach park.
Yeah.
The issue with
One of the plans too, and Kevin's, Andrew's not here, but we spoke about it at the last meeting, to put together a 3-year plan and to see what it would take to begin a board plan, arbors to not only give us some direction and new trees, but when trees may be ready to get removed. Kevin was gonna get some quotes on that. He's not here tonight. We're gonna see if we can hire a arborist to come through on every 3 years and go through the town and give us an update. I know we had it before, but it's been 10, 15 years.
Yeah. She's probably still around. And she lives in Chesterton's.
Did you find that very helpful?
Well, yeah, when we originally got started, the problem with that is that you can do a survey one year, go back the next year and get a bunch of trees that are no good anymore. And so it just keeps changing year in and year out. But she did the initial one. I think I've got a copy of it. It's a book about that thing. So, yeah, Dick has one too. I'll see if I can pick it up for you.
And that idea just came out of a lot of discussion with removal. What's the basis for removal? So I think an arborist would be.
Yeah, Bob Porter said, well, we can tell when the streets and curbs are falling apart, coming up. It's kind of.
Now, Bob won't do anything with those. And it's which comes first, chicken or the egg,
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, nice seeing all you.
Yeah, glad to have you.
I'll come back and visit when you have donuts or something. Take care.
Hey, I think that's about it that I have on. Anybody in the audience have any? Please.
Thought I'd introduce myself.
Yeah.
My PowerPoint's only about an hour and a half, if that's all right. Look it up.
I'll be here. But
No.
Yes.
I'm Adam Theda. I'm the president of the Lake Max Environmental Fund. Been there about a year and a half and got to know Emerson since she's come to town and just wanted to introduce myself and listen to what you guys are up to with this program. Very excited to hear about the program and opportunities with IU's program and been involved with them in other capacities through there. So I know they're going to do some great work. So yeah, just wanted to open the conversation with you all. I know we have a lot of contacts in common and board members and such. So want to know how we also just wanted to start the conversation, how we can help the tree commission possibly by any expertise or resources we have, or partnering on a project or a grant application. We're just we have a staff of one, I'm it, but we do have board members with various skills, volunteers with various skills and interests, and if there's a way we can partner. The nice thing about our organization is that in terms of budgets, paperwork and everything, it's about as minimal bureaucracy as you can imagine. So that's the great news, is that, if you can convince me and the board that something's great, we'll just say, okay, let's move forward. So we don't have a lot of the restrictions that a lot of other entities, government programs and stuff have. So, yeah, all ears, and looking forward to seeing this getting implemented. So my background personally is in environmental consulting. I came to the area to work for Cardno JF New, now Stantec out of Walkerton, Jimmy New's company that he started, and worked as a botanist there. So not arborist per se, but mostly just plant identification. And then have been kind of in the sustainability and natural resources field since then. So.
And I think what problem in the past is we've put in a lot of trees, we've taken out a lot of trees, but we've never really had a consistent maintenance program. And the streets and stand department, Kevin and I used it a few weeks ago. 100-gallon water tanker sitting on a trailer with a gator. Within 5 trees, the water's gone. Now you gotta go back and fill this thing up. So there's gotta be a better way. It'd take you all day to do 30 trees. So you gotta think of a better way to do that. Now, I guess you could fill it with a fire hydrant thing. But I don't know how to do it, I guess.
Can we divert water for free from the lake?
Good or should? I just talked to the DNR about this today, because there are several houses around the lake that have pumps in there for irrigation, and there's nothing against that really from public water bodies in Indiana. Once you start getting into thousands of gallons a day for industrial purposes, that's where it becomes an issue, or if it's artificially lowering it. So as far as legally, I don't believe there's anything against that.
Is the entire lake septic tank free, or getting there?
To my knowledge, I don't know that there's any remaining. I don't know that there's any septics remaining, and our office does not routinely test for E. coli anymore. For that reason, we have the capability for some hot spots, but that unfortunately is not really a concern. But I was just thinking, we have now a fully endowed internship during the summer. We have a fantastic one this summer, Catherine Beeson, and that's going to be happening every summer. So, we can get creative about, she's worked with Emerson a little bit on some stuff, and Emerson's helped us out a little bit here and there. So we can be super creative I'm always looking for hours for the intern to be put to work. Our mission is an ecologically healthy Lake Max and its watershed, and this is the watershed. So anything under that umbrella is fair games.
Have you had to deal at all with the new Marshall County Sewer Board?
No, no, we haven't, because really we try to stay very tight to our mission of the watershed. And the only place where we fudge that just the slightest is town of Culver. There's a lot of this side of Culver that's not technically a watershed, but we historically lump all that in. So because none of those proposed entities are here, it's not something I've dealt with.
I'm glad you're here. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, likewise.
See you October 11th.
Hope so. Yeah.
Kevin, do you have anything? No, you have to go.
Yeah, it's my stuff in the duck out.
So how do you want to say it?
Thank you, everybody.
Anything else?
I moved to adjourn.
Second.
Yeah.
Taylor, aye.
I,
Well, thanks, Emerson, for the.
John, when you get that info from Emerson, could you make it for me? Thanks.
I see your rough draft.
Yes, I don't have it. It's on the computer in the beach lodge. So I can't download the software on this one.
Oh,
But,
okay.
yeah, once Kelly from Davy gets back to me, I will send it as soon as I can.
So then we
I spell your last name.
will get with you, right, sometime next month.
Yeah.
September,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
And what was your name?
Teresa.
Yeah, by line, this one, how much short list of the trees that are
I've been
on
on
here
fire.
that are really good, that fit into that
And
budget left over.
you have to live in the town.
Because then,
Yeah, you have to live
find
in
out where to
town.
get them, but it's Dogwood Hills.
I'm over on,
We're not normally halfway to.
I actually have,
Well,
I work
we
at the
get
academy, but I had
all,
a side.
I mean, do you
business
think we can
too,
get everything we want that's not on your list from
computers on
Davies
the way
Street?
through.
Okay.
And so I've
I
got
think so.
38
I
years
think
there.
when I asked
They
them
all
that
have
don't be concerned
sprinklers,
about
so,
Yeah,
yeah, they
where
take
it's sourced
advantage of that.
yeah, for sure.
share with
And
you.
honestly, it's
Can I give
volume
you my
wise,
short list and then you could
Yeah.
ask them, so
You know.
I can get them?
Yeah, the only
that's
thing
one
would
of the
be like,
things we're looking at organizationally
let's
is
say they asked and one nursery
raising
was like,
that
oh,
money
we only
for
have
less
2 of
fundraiser,
that.
looking at like.
That would be the
study.
only concern where they might.
Because all this
plug
stuff
it in
with,
there.
you know, big data
It's
centers
usually,
and stuff comes
yeah,
down.
yeah.
really.
Indiana,
They have the right size.
we're more or less planning to a lot of that, you know, and as long as you don't impact your neighbor, you kind of just
Yeah.
keep sticking straws. in
We'll
them.
say we're the
So
first
we'd
tree
like to
planting
have some
out
data
of all of the.
ahead of time
Yeah.
before something
all the
happens,
communities,
so,
that might be worth.
and that
Oh,
involves
you're
drilling rigs and
My
scientists.
scientist, right after you
That's
that
one of our next
October 11th
steps.
was, what would?
Yeah, I met with,
Things there.
oh, why am I blanking on his?
There was
The head of facilities.
Oh, yeah.
We're working on a school to plant.
Brent
Brent
Fuller.
Fuller, yeah.
Yeah,
Talk
so
with
all of
him
that,
about,
lots of emails to
He's
come, right?
you know,
School's not in
kinda
session yet.
got it in,
In your budget.
really wanted to get the
So
forest
take care of it.
shit back up again.
Yeah.
And I know you guys had
I
a
was gonna
pretty
ask, what would be most
comprehensive
helpful
like
for you?
inventory done.
What would be
Yeah,
most
10,
helpful
15 years
for
ago.
you guys?
And I know he had
Well,
done some
I
forestry work for his previous
I
employer.
Too, so.
I know he's got
It's usually
Jillian
just
irons
few
and
of us
fire,
that-
but he was just picking my brain about
Planning,
what
we're gonna
the
need
academy
for that. Oh, we
Yeah,
don't,
no,
You don't really need much.
yeah.
our woodcraft camp director, she's all, usually pretty
What's
timid
it?
about
Think of something.
taking down trees,
Yeah.
especially on the woodcraft
Use a
side.
500
Yeah.
gallon
We want to keep as
plastic.
much as you can.
Right.
For some of those are old
Mulch
trees.
and tree garden,
Yeah.
I need to
They'll
spend
fall
all
and they'll
by
damage, so that's-
Yeah,
December
yeah.
That's
31st
pretty
or,
scary.
Yeah.
okay, I mean, that is the
Yeah, we,
cutoff date, it's a
Yeah,
calendar
that'd
year,
be
not a
something
June.
good. I think what we have in ours come out
Yeah,
in a couple years, but
Several
yeah, I
days.
don't know about like
Okay.
inventory or.
Yeah, and it sounds like he's probably, you know, obviously the most of the focus is gonna be on campus and stuff.
Yeah.
But he's trying to also extend that to all the.
It's good, I feel bad that the things are slower than I would like.
Yeah, right.
As well, so.
I mean, if this is exciting.
But that's, you know, I've been around at institutions and that always struggle to get
I think that's really.
the long-term sustained
Something that
attention
and
and resources to actually do something.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I mean, you've probably seen it with public boards. I'm on the Marshall County part. You know, it's just like somebody comes in, has a bunch of energy, you get a grant, you get a budget, you go through stuff and
So
then.
this is. You want to.
This is.
It's like, why no, we used to do this, why
Yeah,
don't
I
we do this,
do.
you know, you just keep going through that.
Go
cycle.
ahead.
Yes, struggle.
Can I give you